Hello, this is Curt Pringle, and thanks for tuning in again to our Talking Issues series. Today, maybe this becomes a little more personal a discussion because we get to talk a bit about Anaheim, and I still have and continue to have a love for Anaheim and want to see it grow and prosper because Anaheim is a place in Orange County that has always been known for big things, from Angels baseball, establishing here, to Disneyland, certainly the Anaheim Convention Center, the largest convention facility on the West Coast. Platinum Triangle, and the Anaheim Arena. You might not know the Anaheim Arena is the Anaheim Arena, but when it was first built, that's what its name was. Then became Arrowhead Pond, and then the Honda Center of Anaheim. And in 1990, the city leadership of Anaheim said we should have an arena, even though they had no tenants at the time. They had really no true expectation of tenants, but they went out and built from 1990 to 1993 the Anaheim Arena. And in 1993, as it was opening up, the city of Anaheim also didn't want this obligation to be on the backs of taxpayers. So they found a private sector partner, and in that case, Ogden Entertainment Group came in as a private sector partner to manage the facility and also cover that debt. As the story goes, Ogden went bankrupt in the early 2000s, and with that, this obligation of management of the Anaheim Arena, at that time the Arrowhead Pond, was back into the thought process of the city and the city leadership. And I happened to be mayor at that time, and our discussion is, how do we ensure that not only do we have somebody who could manage the operation, take over that the debt obligation, but also who had a true commitment to Orange County and Anaheim. So a couple of fellas, one of the operators of the Arrowhead Pond, Tim Ryan, and a city leader, Greg Smith, came up with the idea of reaching out to Henry Samueli, certainly a leader in Orange County. So a small group of us went and met with Henry Samueli and encouraged him to set up Anaheim Marina Management, the entity that bought the management at rights and control, and have had that ever since, and have done tremendous things, not only buying the Anaheim Ducks, but seeing the Anaheim Ducks to a Stanley Cup championship, the first West Coast Stanley Cup in hockey history. At least that's the way I'll spin it. But today there's a lot more stuff happening in Anaheim. One of those next big things in Anaheim really is happening right now, and that's the development of OCVibe, a tremendous entertainment residential community that will encompass the Honda Center property and beyond. And I'm really excited today to have the CEO of the OCVibe here to talk, but also someone who oversees the financial operations of all of the Duck components, from the Ducks to their San Diego Gulls team. So I hope you will join with me in welcoming CEO Bill Foltz. That's a long introduction, a lot of stuff. But I
covered a lot of history.
I covered a lot of history, and I hope half of it's right. But with that, we're here not talking really about the history, but the future of Anaheim Ducks, and certainly the OCVibe. But it's great to have you here, but also in this position. You bring 35 years of involvement, primarily on the financial side of so much entertainment, sports, and private equity component. So what brought you to this position now?
Well, it's been a long road, leading to this, and it has. Most of my career was as a CFO for various organizations, and as I like to say, I can't really explain my career. But in the past, the one sort of core aspect of it is that Henry and Susan Samueli are my third billionaires that I've worked for in that role. And so I have an experience working with private founder entrepreneurs, and that must be my niche, as far as that's the way I define it at this point. But I did start with the family in 2015, so 9+ years with them now as the CFO. Then really partnered almost immediately with Tim Ryan, who was a great leader and a great mentor to me, and eventually became the CFO of the Ducks and the Honda Center also. And then ultimately, when the decision was made to move forward with the OCVibe development, Tim was kind enough to say, well, I don't want to do this unless Foltz is going to join me. So I joined him as COO. And then 2 years ago, when Tim retired, I ended up taking the role as the CEO of all of what we call OC Sports Entertainment, which is those entertainment assets that you listed for the family as well.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so in the context of OCVibe, for someone who doesn't know anything about the Honda Center, the property around it, or what those plans are, give a presentation of what that OCVibe is going to look like.
OCVibe is a 100+ acre development and all the land surrounding the Honda Center. And so, for many of you who've been out at the Honda Center, you know that we're generally surrounded by a sea of asphalt that does nothing, frankly, for more than 200 days a year. And so the business theory there is, how can you do something to create income, do something for 365 days a year? Pretty simple, right? It's not, I wouldn't call us geniuses for figuring this out. Many others have. But it does make sense. And so that within that 100 acres that we have now and we bought pretty much all the land around the Honda Center. We took over in 2018 the management of the Arctic train station as well. So we consider that as part of our campus, if you will.
So in that regard, the two city-owned assets of Arctic and the Honda Center,
correct,
are still owned by the city, and you have
that's correct
management.
We have management agreements for both of them. We do not own them; they are the city's assets, and so we believe we're the custodians for both of those and making them great places for Anaheim and the rest of Orange County to enjoy. But also within that, we will be building a couple different phases. The first two phases will really be mostly retail. Entertainment focused. And so among the other things we're building is a 5,600 person performance venue. There is nothing of that size down here in Orange County, indoor performance venue. And there's really nothing on the West Coast that will look like this. So the difference in the theater that we're building is that you'll find that there's a flat floor on the ground floor instead of sloped and fixed seating in a typical amphitheater type setting. So that gives us tremendous flexibility we can put chairs down there and you and I can go sit in chairs and we'll go see James Taylor or something like that. But when our kids want to go see a hip hop show or something like that, they don't want to sit down.
Or grandkids.
Or grandkids.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, to round up here on that stuff.
Yeah, I was trying to be polite.
No, that's the way it is.
But anyways, they want to be standing, right, and enjoying the theater. So it'll be, and we can do corporate events in there. We could do award shows, all those kind of things. So it gives us tremendous flexibility. And in California, it's the only venue like that.
Yeah, see, I think people miss that. I think there's a thought out there. Oh my gosh, what another concert venue? Do you have enough business? Is there too much competition in that area? But really, the big arenas are kind of like a big stadium across the street here. There's only so many acts that will perform in that and fill it up. And then you could go across the street here in Anaheim to the Grove, where you have 800 seats or 1,000 maximum if you stand up.
Or the House of Blues, which is a little bit bigger than that.
Right. So you're trying to hit that midpoint.
There is a gap in Orange County for something that size. And we kind of refer to it as the ecosystem of music. So there will also be a 300 person venue that's more of a club. That's a nod to actually music in Orange County, going back to the Golden Bear. I don't know if you ever went there, but it was a club down in Huntington Beach that was very popular in the 70s and 80s. And so you'll be able to come as a young artist. Hopefully our vision is to play in the 300 person, move up to about a 2,000 person size venue, up to 5,600, someday play the Honda Center for us. And unfortunately, sometimes as our artists get older, they go back down the other way too. Right. So the ecosystem will catch people on the way up. And
I mean, maybe that is how you envision, or people could envision that, like when the Orange County Fair is in operation, you have so many multiple venues for different levels of draw.
That's right.
And here you're trying to bring them all in around the Honda Center into the OCVibe.
There's certainly outdoor opportunities there of that size. Pacific Amphitheater and what they're building now in the Great Park is a little smaller, just a little bit bigger than what this is. But those are summertime only. Yeah. So this will be working 365 days a year. We expect to have well more than 200 events a year.
It's great
venue. So it'll bring a lot of people here to Southern California.
So that's an entertainment draw component. So tell me a little bit more about the club aspect. Are you going to have similar types of venues there other than the single 300?
That's kind of the roster right now,
Uh-huh.
I would expect that in the first phase, we'll have 5 restaurants, and we would expect that they would have a music component too. So we always want to tie everything back to the entertainment aspect, but I wouldn't call it a club, right? Where you're just typically going in and you want to sit down at a table and enjoy some light fare, but you're really there for the music. You're probably, that's more, you're there for the dinner, and then there's music there to it. But the
So on
restaurants,
phase one, which is primarily areas by the 57 freeway across where the Honda Center is and all the way to the river.
that's right. For
That
the next 2
frontage,
years, you'll see a lot of construction on that frontage of the 57 freeway between Honda Center and the freeway. And phase one will include the parking garages where all those old parking spaces over in the sea of asphalt will be replaced and expanded, actually, so there'll be more parking options there for everybody. And then phase one will be between that parking garage and then the Honda Center. Now, and the other components there of phase one will include a 2+ acre urban park, which will be, just a place that we want people to come and hang out and enjoy. As I said, 5 restaurants there, 5, 6 restaurants, which will all have outdoor dining that we love here in Southern California, of course. And then an office building, small office building, that will really be class AA. It's a beautiful structure done mostly with mass timber, so replacing a lot of that carbon emissions that come from steel and cement and those things with solid timber. And then underneath that's a 4-story office building. Underneath that office building, there will be a market hall, of 21 different local stalls celebrating all the diversity around around Orange County, and the foods and culinary experts that are just amazing here in Orange County. So 21 of those stalls, 6 bars to go in there, and so just kind of a lot of fun, a lot of variety for folks to come down before a game, concert, or just dinner.
Right.
Yeah.
A hangout place, but with the park, eating outdoors, grabbing something light or long, sitting there for a while.
And just enjoying a beautiful place to sit and people watch.
Oh, that's good.
We all love to do that, right?
So on parking, though, as a duck attendee, how many parking spaces are there presently available for?
There's about 3,600 parking spaces available today
and
we control.
And when you're done, that would be how many?
Over 8,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's certainly enough to handle everything for the Honda Center and that performance theater if they're going at the same time, and all the other guests that are coming. But we have a series of core values, and one of them is make it easy. And our objective then, we know no human being likes a parking garage.
Right.
But these are speed loaded. They're designed to get you in and out faster than if you were leaving the parking lots today.
And so for people to think about that, I mean, that's kind of a principle that Disneyland started with. So they're all front loading, so you're not going up and back on aisles.
Correct.
So that people that surge of people coming at one time can park. Yeah. And at the same time, when they leave, they all can leave the same way, and you'll have that speed and going. But I mean, that costs a lot more money than a traditional parking structure. Yeah. Usually it's 25 to 40% more than a traditional parking space.
At least, yeah, it can be as much as 50 or 60% more. But it's critical, because we know that ingress and egress to any sporting event is actually the 2 most important things to fans. Top 3 are always ingress, egress, and safety. Mm-hmm. We're going to make sure that we check the box on all 3. So when you come, you get here, there won't be anybody collecting. You won't have to show your parking pass that you guys do as great fans of the Ducks. And then that'll make it easier to get out too. Yeah. So there's no gates, nothing like that to get in. And then, but the design element, anybody who's been to a concert or a Ducks game knows that when you're trying to leave, then all of a sudden, or an Angel game, because we all have the same thing, there's people streaming across Catella and streaming across Douglas.
Right.
People and cars don't mix.
Right.
So we are putting the ring road going out from Catella all the way east to the edge of the Santa Ana River. That's where the road will be. Where Douglas will be turned into what we call the Paseo. So it'll be a nice long walking street there. If you think Douglas is 5 lanes across, it'll be very pleasant. But we're keeping the pedestrians and the cars apart, and that's because it's not safe. I worry about the pedestrians all the time when I see people, because People in cars and pedestrians, they always get hostile towards each other. This is going to alleviate a lot of that.
So you're talking a lot about phase one, which is being built now and will be completed by 2026.
Garages will be done by October 25. So we will have another year of disrupted parking. So my apologies to all of our Ducks fans and concert fans out there. We know it's a disruption if it's a pardon our dust for a little while.
Yes.
Thank you. But the parking garage will be done by October of 2025, and then phase one will be done by 2026, October 2026.
Wow.
So boom, boom. And then right on the heels of that, in 2027, you're going to see phase two, which will have another, that's where the club will be, some more retail space, restaurant space out there. But we will have a big plaza that is a little less landscaped as what you'll see in the first plaza that we'll build. And this one's really being built as the place where Orange County comes together to celebrate all that's great about Orange County. Whether it's a watch party for the Ducks, or whether we have an agreement with UFC where we're going to be their first designated watch party site, outdoor watch party site. So 4,000 people can come, even if we can't get every single bout. We'd love to get every single UFC bout at Honda Center, but if not, every bout will be putting on an outdoor watch party for.
And that will be in the front of...
Yeah, we call that the South Plaza. So
that'll be in the front of the Honda Center?
That's correct.
Between the Honda Center and Catella.
That's
so
correct.
People can envision...
Yeah.
Right now, everything is... Phase one is primarily on the east side of Douglas.
West side of Douglas.
West side.
Yeah, east side of the 57.
Right.
That's right. So we're working our way kind of counterclockwise.
I see.
Through the development.
And maybe we take a pause and... So the city owns and will retain ownership of the two public buildings,
Correct.
The train station Arctic as well as the Honda Center.
Correct.
But over the years, the Ducks, Anaheim Marina Management, the Samueli Group, H&S Ventures, all has purchased many of those land assets that are between that. So
that's correct.
You bought from the city that front parking lot.
The front a little bit on the east side of the building,
right.
And then a little bit on the north side of the building.
And then from the water district, you purchased property?
We actually bought it from the flood control district.
Flood control district.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
And that's on the west, a little bit farther east, excuse me, that
right.
abuts the Santa Ana River.
Right. And all the way to...
That's the public land that we bought.
Right.
Which we went through the whole process and bought it at market.
Right.
Everything we were very transparent about,
right.
As you know. And then also some privately held land. What used to be Platte College, which
right.
is, the building's no longer there. We don't own that. It's a 99-year lease, so it's developable for us on that.
I see.
And then we also bought the office building, what we call the Arena Corporate Center.
Right.
We bought that. That was actually the second asset that we bought in 2017.
I see.
We also own the Douglas Commerce Center, which is that across Douglas from the Arctic, down as just before you cross under the freeway.
Directly across Douglas from Arctic.
That's correct.
And then also further north, did you buy this stables or properties back in there?
We did.
Yeah.
We did. We took that over. That was city land as well, and we took that over in 2018-ish, somewhere in there. I want to think. So this has been going on for a long. It's hard for me to believe.
But what that does, though, and I think what people need to see is, yes, there's public assets here. There's agreements with public entities, but really, virtually all of this is private investment around those public assets. So the public assets, the private investment wouldn't be there unless the public assets were there.
Unless it was coordinated. Well, it's one of our great advantages that, and there are these other districts all over the country at this point.
Right.
But often there are 2 or 3 developers who are putting not just the operator, the team, or the arena. So the great thing about what we're building, so that we can bring everything together from a technology and experience standpoint, is that we actually control all of it.
Right.
The Samueli family controls all of it. And I'd say it's really important to note that there were no public subsidies in the acquisition of any of that land or anything that we're building. So it's all being done solely by the Samueli family. Even beyond that, there is no, as you would know, Curt, there's no affordable housing mandate or requirement for a development like this. We voluntarily offered to do 15%.
Yeah, so let's get into that, though.
Affordable housing.
So you've painted the picture of phase one, which people can see the excitement there. And phase two, the kind of the front yard,
Yep.
that big promenade in front of the Honda Center. Is there parking over there by the river as well?
There will be a second parking garage that goes in on the northeast corner of the Honda Center, and that'll be for mostly for premium customers, season ticket holders who want to have preferred parking out there. That parking garage will be attached to the Honda Center directly,
Right.
at a couple of points. So you'll be able to walk straight from that parking garage. Again, speed loaded,
Yeah.
so you get in and out very
And
quickly.
part of what all of this is not overlooking that city asset of the Honda Center. The group is putting in, what'd you say, over $100 million in
Well over
additional
$100 million.
improvements
Yeah,
of private money into a public facility.
correct. As it has always been. We've already put $300 million into the Honda Center and surrounding today. But the Henry and Susan approved back this spring to move forward with some additional investments into the Honda Center. One of the things at the Honda Center that is a fact that we live with the Honda Center is concourses are too narrow, and I'm talking about compared to today's standards,
Right.
which you would build with
Yes.
a new arena. And then secondarily, there are actually more seats in the upper bowl than there are in the lower bowl, but there's fewer points of sale in the upper bowl than there is in the lower bowl. So our great fans in the upper bowl have to either come downstairs or wait in longer lines, which just isn't right. So we're putting 4 new marketplace stands in the corners of the Honda Center. This is kind of one of the one that I'm most excited about. But we will increase the number of points of sale upstairs by more than 50%.
Wow.
So just imagine what this is going to have as far as the lines and things like that
Right.
on those great fans up in that level. Still a lot
I'm
of great.
glad you still
amenities
have
there.
this connection to the Ducks. I can see it
Oh,
in
yeah.
their sports background.
Yeah.
That's good. And your shirt today, I guess, with your
It's our new logo
new
too.
logo is
That's
what I was
right.
going to say.
Yeah, no,
No,
I've missed that opportunity.
No, that's great. And one thing you alluded to earlier is this further commitment of making it a community by having a residential component
Yes.
in this. So 1,500 residential units?
We'll have more than 2,000
2,000.
ultimately, and more than 190, 200 or so. We're going to be affordable housing units. And
And again, that was not a requirement by the city.
No.
It was a decision you made. And you know what? It really is one of those strange things. A lot of the numbers, the whole concept of affordable housing is based upon the median family income within an
Correct.
area. And in Orange County, that median family income, that median income is so high
yeah,
that when people think about affordable, I think traditionally people are looking at what types of units or where they might be. But in fact, as we sit today, for defined as a low income housing unit for a single person, that single person would have an income of $88,000 a year or less.
I think that's correct. Somewhere near, yeah.
The moderate level affordability, which is
Mhm.
kind of straddle on that affordability, but still defined as affordable housing in California. In Orange County, a family of 2, a couple, let me see, I wrote it down, it would be a household income of $123,000
Okay.
or less.
Yep.
So it is interesting that, of course, there's a housing need all the way up the spectrum. But
Yeah.
when you talk about affordable housing, it isn't just for the very lowest income. It can be provided for people all the way along that spectrum, particularly young people.
Yeah.
They're looking to stay and live within a community.
Yeah,
And when you're
correct.
building the vibrancy around the OCVibe and the walkability and the restaurants and the day and nightlife opportunities, I mean, I think that's really exciting to be able to live there.
Yeah, and we sincerely hope that some of the people that be working on the campus will be living there.
Yeah.
That's very important to us, because I know our friends down the street at Disneyland, we all struggle,
Right.
Getting our full and part-time labor, here. And in many cases, those lower paid positions are coming from the, as far north as the Inland Empire. And that's hard to ask people to do that.
Right.
So to be able to find, to provide some space to more opportunities for folks to live there.
So you give me an opportunity, though, to throw in a little talk about how important it is to always think about housing.
Yeah.
And you have on this site, so that housing would be located on the further north.
That's on the north side of the Honda Center,
The north side. So right now where
where that office building is right now.
the whole office complex
Yeah.
that some of us park in to get to the Ducks games these days. But also talk about how then, as these phases are marching forward, how are you looking to connect the Arctic and the transportation component of Arctic to what you're doing?
So another important component of what we're building is really open space.
Yeah.
And so it's actually, I think it's close to 30 acres of open space, considering the plazas that I mentioned, but then 2 sizable parks in the 6 to 7 acre size. And one of them, the parking lot in front of Arctic, will be turned into what we call the Meadow Park. Have a band shell there, not designed as an amphitheater, but more as a community place, again, to gather. That's the cornerstone, our vision of what we're kind of anchoring to, is what can we create to be the gathering point of Orange County to come together. So that'll be 6 to 7, 6.5 acres or so, something like that. But there will also then from Arctic be a somewhat meandering path, slightly gaining in elevation to a bridge over Catella. So as I mentioned, we're separating pedestrians from traffic. You won't be crossing Catella anywhere anymore. You'll be coming over this bridge to get either over there, and we'll have Uber pickups over there, as well as on the west side of the Honda Center and on the north side. But it'll be if you're familiar with the High Line in New York City,
sure,
that's kind of our inspiration. Where it's not a long walk; it's only about 400 yards. But when you're walking on a sidewalk, on a curb and traffic, then it's not a great experience.
Right.
But if you're meandering through it, you've got artworks all along the way, it feels like a very short walk.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do.
Oh, that's very cool. I mean, a part of all of this, in 2005, when Anaheim established the Platinum Triangle, we designated opportunities for density in a variety of places. And you're taking advantage of a lot of that.
Yeah.
But also, I know at the Arctic Station site, there is density ascribed to that for 2, if not 3, high-rise office buildings. So when people think about, okay, what about traffic, and what is that? What were those decisions made to plan for this impact? A lot of that was made back in 2005, where the streets and the density that was being planned for that site was actually greater much of the development that's going to go on there now.
I think you could build an 80-story office building, and how that was entitled
you could
by the city. But that allowed flexibility too.
Right, exactly, because that had so many cars coming and going every day. The concept of that, or so many passengers coming from various transportation mechanisms.
It's doubtful you would ever do that.
Right.
Yeah. It was the capacity.
But to be honest, in 2005, it was a different office market than it is today.
Absolutely.
And
the world's changed.
The world's changed. But part of that is how do you plan for change? And I think that's much of what you're seeing there.
But and to go back to that park, because it's really truly going to be lovely there. There is another park on the north side and the residential side that we call the Wellness Park. And wellness is very important, specifically to Susan Samueli.
Right.
It's one of her passionate philanthropies that she follows and supports. And that park, again, is about 6 acres. Mm-hmm. It'll be inside of a ring of the apartments that'll be there. But really quiet, lovely place to go just sit and maybe take a yoga mat out and relax a little bit under a big tree. But all of these parks, this open space that we have, is far beyond what's required as far as building requirements for green space per number of units of apartments that you're building. So again, we are. I wouldn't say we're not maximizing every dollar we could squeeze out of it.
Well, but let's talk about that a little bit, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we are so fortunate to have the Samuelis invest in Orange County, in Anaheim. But part of that investment isn't to try to squeeze out the maximum return on every investment. And in fact, because they're here and because they have such great philanthropic interest, a lot of the decisions are made to benefit the community over much further than the community would force that investment otherwise.
Yes, that's correct. And that's, as I say, the affordable housing decision is evidence of that. The more parking it is. We are also actually adding on the top of those parking garages solar panels on top, and so that'll deliver about 50% of the electrical needs that the district will have. Pretty sure, as we've researched it, that will be the largest solar array in an urban setting that you're going to find anywhere in California.
Wow.
So it's very, it's just getting ourselves out there. It's a big investment, right? And it has returns over time, but you probably wouldn't do it if all you were looking to do was maximize the dollars.
Right. No, very exciting. So,
And that's just the way the family is.
exactly.
Do it right.
Part of that commitment, the hard work, all of this effort, you're looking forward to the 2028 Olympics as well?
Yes, we are.
So what focus do you have for the Olympics? What are the opportunities that might come here?
In a very busy environment, that would just get busier.
Yeah.
So we don't have that negotiation completed yet. In
Yes.
fact, most of the venues in LA 28 are still working on those.
Right.
And they've kind of shut down in the summer for the Paris Olympics and
Right.
all. But in our case, if all things go as planned, we would be holding men's and women's indoor volleyball in the Honda Center.
That's great.
Which is great. The challenge,
Because Anaheim, of course, has such a commitment to volleyball.
yeah,
I like that.
of course. But the fun and challenging part, as I say, in a very busy role that I have, is when I look at that, and you look at the Paris Olympics as an example. Their first match is done on the opening day of the Olympics, and their last one, the championship, is done on the last day of the Olympics. And it's other than a few days in between as you get out of pool play into, semifinals and finals. We're busy every day. In the pool play, there will be 4 matches a day, and those are 4 separate ticketed events.
Oh,
Which means we're going to have to get people in and out and in and out and in and out and cleaned in between, and more food and everything. We'll see more than 450,000 people roll through the Honda Center in a matter of about 2 weeks, which is extraordinary as far as volume is concerned. So put that on the list of many things that I worry about these days.
well, that's good. Well, you're worrying about a lot.
Really exciting for Anaheim and for Orange County.
Certainly.
Yeah.
But it really talks about how exciting the whole focus of OCVibe is for the community and for the county. So thanks very much, Bill, for coming in and sharing that. It shows the excitement for more big things happening in Orange County and Anaheim.
We're doing our part. Thanks, Curt.
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it. This is
Nice.
great.